G'day, how are you? Um, I hope it's recording. First time I've used this program. But anyway, Brian's my name. Some of you know me, some of you don't. Hands up to those that either know me or don't know me. Great, that helps a lot. Thanks. Okay, so if you look back on this channel or on this YouTube channel, you see that in the previously a few years ago, I did a couple of ad hoc videos, of which I'm probably going to keep on doing as we get back on board. But in particular, as well as sort of sharing other things that I get involved in and things that happen around and what I get up to as far as my life as a person with a disability is concerned, and not just a disability, some stuff nothing to do with disabilities, but obviously having a disability, it's a reasonably major focus and has a reasonable effect on most every day, and which is probably pro rata for most people with a disability. If anyone has worked out how to turn it on and off for days that suit them and days that don't suit them, please send me a message and let me know, and I will talk with you. In the meantime, what I'm going to do today, as normal, unfortunately, but we're back with public transport. Yep, and we're back again. You'll see that one of the last videos I put on, and I'll just check the dates on it, around about 6 years ago, back in 2012, was just after a meeting that Michael Merritt, unfortunately Michael's now passed away, but Michael and I spent time in with Terry Mulder, the current Transport Minister at that time. And I guess current and at that time are a bit of a contradictory meanings, aren't they? But anyway, he was the Transport Minister back then. You got the gist. We were talking to him about accessible trams and public transport and some few other issues as well, all to do with public transport. It's really frustrating that in a city that up until recently was classified as one of the most livable cities in the world, that people with disabilities continue to have to struggle to use the public transport, get somewhere comfortable or housing or whatever you want, to live, get access to a lot of public buildings. More and more are becoming more accessible, but you go down any street in Melbourne and we're going to find that accessibility is by no means altogether anywhere near solved, which is really frustrating. But getting back to what I was saying with the YouTube, the last video I did was with Terry Mulder, and that was about accessible public transport. Now, I'm going to try and share my screen here a bit because I don't want this video to go too long. But guess what we're up to today, right? Around about 12 months ago, our current government spruiked up how they were, let me find this thing now, how they were putting out a new tram line called the Tram Line 58. Brilliant. Low floor trams. Look, there it is in the picture. Only trouble is, how do we get on the cranky things? All right, so nowhere between South Bank and the Victoria Market, which is the full length of William Street, do we see a super stop or a level access stop. Mainly here we know them as super stops. But so on the argument goes from 2012 to now into 2017, still, struggling for access. It just goes on and on and on. Trying to have meetings, we're involved with several different groups, representative groups, peer groups, support groups, advocacy groups. Well, mind you, like any other advocate for most issues, it's all voluntary. And hours and hours and hours being spent, meeting in rooms to discuss where we're going, what the improvements are, and still today we don't have our accessible public transport. What we're noticing at the moment, in particular here in Victoria, is a tremendous lack in the building or the funding in particular, the funding for independently accessible tram stops for trams. I guess if they're tram stops, they are for trams, aren't they? Never thought of that. Now, there's a new one for you. Take that home. It's a beauty. Write it down. Take it home. All right. But what we're seeing is lack of funding. This current government, has probably put less into accessible stops for the tram network than what I got paid on my last pension check, which is pretty shocking, right? So much so that a group of us decided that, you know, it was time to probably get out there and have a bit more of a say. Years ago, we saw a lot of protesting on the streets, starting back in the 80s and 90s. We saw protests back then about lack of access on public transport, in particular that of trams. We saw lots of people, and some of those people are still around today, others aren't, unfortunately, but where they blockaded trams and sent out a message that, you know, just because they've got a disability doesn't mean we shouldn't be able to use the public transport system. And yet here we are today, probably, you know, 25, 30 years later, and we're still campaigning the same issues. Are we better off than what we were back then? Definitely. Are we where we should be? Definitely not. Definitely not. So back here we come again. We're back onto YouTube. We're starting up the channel again. We're going to do some raves and rave-ons and rave-ins and rave-outs, whatever you want to call them. But in the meantime, a lot of the topics we're going to cover on this are just simply lack of accessible public transport. Last week, about 10 days ago, a few of us got together and became quite vocal. Did something we haven't done for quite a long time, but this is how drastic we feel the situation is getting. So I'm going to quickly put on a video. It goes for 3 or 4 minutes, and you can watch that, and then I'll finish it off. And yeah, that'll be it. Let's see if I can get this to work properly. I'm hoping this all works properly because I haven't really done this this way. I'm using all new software and a platform, and we'll see what happens. So let's see what happens here. All right, so if we go over to here, this video was actually taken by a member, as you can see up here, of the Moreland Leader, a photographer from the Moreland Leader. He came out and interviewed us on the day here on Sydney Road in Brunswick, came out and did an interview and did a live Facebook video, which actually we didn't even know he was doing it, which was, so it probably had more realism in it because we didn't know that we were posing. Anyway, there was a few other media people there. Thank you to them for attending. Thank you for their support. And thank you for the other people that came along to support this rally. It was great. But here we go. I'm going to leave you to watch this for a couple of minutes and we'll see how it all comes out.
We should be able to use this tram. It's a low-floor tram, and we should be able to use it. Why can't we get on it? Why can't we get on this tram when this tram is a low-floor tram? It's designed for better access. It's designed for access for all. We've got them running.
Looks like we've lost volume. Don't know why that's happened.
Up and down this road all day. We can't use them. We sit here and watch them go past every day. People in wheelchairs, senior citizens, people over here that can't get up the step. We've got parents with trams. Parents with trams that need to be able to have the level access. Brian, get in there. This is not good enough. We need level access. We need the super stops built. We need funding. The government needs to put in funding. They've been holding funding. They haven't released it. They've had funding since the last government, and at the last minute are starting to release some. Where's their funding? Where's the funding they provided? They haven't. That's why we're not seeing it, because they haven't given us any funding. We have the right to travel on this transport. That's why these trams are in this country. The trams were brought in to make it more accessible for everybody. And yet still today, here we are at a tram stop with a tram designed for us, and we still can't get on the blasted thing. Not good enough. We need the government to nominate some funding. We saw their budget last week. What was in the budget towards trams? Nothing. Not good enough. Step it up, get some money in here, and get these tram stops rolled out on all stops. Get these trams moving. Get us moving. Let us go and do our shopping. Let us go and do our interviews. Go and see our doctors. Let us take our friends out for an afternoon. Why? because the transport system is accessible. This is not accessible. Inaccessible is unacceptable. Always has been, always will be. Inaccessible, unacceptable. Inaccessible, unacceptable. Inaccessible, unacceptable. Inaccessible, unacceptable. Put some money in and put it in there. Inaccessible, unacceptable. Inaccessible, unacceptable. Inaccessible, unacceptable. Put in some money. Bring some funding in. Look, here goes another one. Here's another one. We still can't get on it. They're everywhere. Low floor terms are everywhere. Right? And we can't get on it. We can't get them on going this way. We can't get on that one going that way. What do you want? Shall we go home?
Okay, and with that, we actually try and work out how to stop it. It's not stopping properly. Okay, here we go. All right. So with that, we then went a bit further down Sydney Road with that tram following us, and held him up for another 5 or 10 minutes. Did we want to do it? No, I didn't want to do it. I don't know about you, but I've got better things to do than sit out in the middle of Sydney Road on a Thursday afternoon holding up a tram that's got people on there that are trying to get somewhere. However, this lack of funding towards public transport by the Victorian government is unacceptable. Just not on. All right, I'm not going to hold you too much longer. I think we've been here for a few minutes tonight now, so I'm going to let this go. We're going to see if we can shape it up a bit and post it, but we're going to be back. We're going to be back. We're going to talk about a variety of things. I think you'll find that we'll cross a whole lot of topics, but in general, we're going to be talking about access issues, in particular, public transport and probably accommodation. Hey, but never know. I'm just having a go. I'm just having a play here. We're going to see what happens. All right? I'm no professional YouTuber. I don't know. Someone's probably going to call me a vlogger one day. I don't know. I've got no blooming idea. But we're just going to get out here because this message needs to get out. This is not good enough. We're into the year. We're into the into the year 2000 plus now, 2018, and we're still flat out to get on a tram. Still flat out to find somewhere, be able to find a house that's wheelchair accessible. Still flat out to the list is just remarkable. A new one that I'm going to be looking at, was brought up to me just recently, is the lack of training for hospital staff to be able to effectively look after people with disabilities. Now, that's a whole new topic. I don't know how I'm going to touch that one. Got no idea. But I think it needs to be looked at. But we've got a whole lot of other issues out there. All right, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And if you didn't like it, oh, well, life happens. But we've got to say something at some stage. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Catch you later.